What's up, guys? What is up? What is up? What is up? What are we doing today? What are we doing? What are we doing? LSF? Of course that's what we're doing. Do that every day. What else? I don't know. We could watch Destiny talk about Hassan and TikTok star Christian Walker's agonizing debate on whatever the rest of that video says. That's easy content, right? Reacting to somebody reacting. Oh shit! I didn't break it. Okay. For a second, I thought I broke my light. Put it on correctly. That's not the way to do it. It's like you gotta screw it in first. And then I can spin it. Okay, now it's like a spinning top. Okay. Yeah, the tripod thing is being annoying, as usual. What am I doing? Pro streamer. Let there be light.
You know what's bothering me?
Oh, that's not what we're playing.
Wait. I forgot about all that. Jeez. Wait, what the hell? Bad gateway? What's that? The heck is that? Oh, is that the oh, okay, it's the clock I had. I don't even use it anymore. But I think I could fix it. Oh. Yeah, I just don't think it exists anymore. I don't know. Yeah, we don't need that, okay? Do we even need space? The final frontier?
Okay. Wow. I'm a bit low blood sugar, but I already had a slice of pizza, and pizza usually brings up my blood sugar, okay? It was down to 68. For me, that's low, but it's not like low, like the low prices of Twitch Prime. See what I did there? No, I see the fact that I'm making jokes means it's okay, you know? If I was truly low blood sugar, I would have not been able to start my stream. I would be in bed, I would have gotten jelly. I have jelly, like, to have sugar. In case I have low blood sugar. But it was only 68 and I was already warming up pizza. Got pizza. Someone got me pizza yesterday. Well, I got it. But somebody helped pay for it. A little bit. My hair looks like garbage. What is wrong with me? I'm so ugly. Wow, look at this ugly girl. Look how ugly she is. Yeah, look. Yeah, look how ugly this girl in front of you is. With her ugly hair and her ugly face. Okay. I'm not that ugly. That was the joke. Okay, whoa. Well, maybe one day I'll actually figure out correct lighting. Won't I? Wow. So, we're gonna just get right into it, okay? I want to eat my pizza. And watch some, streamer TV. Okay, and, oh, you know what happened? Where is...
What is going on?
Oh, there it is. Okay, guys, let's get into it. Turn off the music. I want to eat my pizza. I'm gonna turn off the mic so you guys don't have to hear me chewing, okay? Nah, you guys can hear me. you guys gonna have to put up with it, okay?
I don't want to be racist, but I can't see Tyler 1.
Oh
Kid,
my god. Oh my god. Oh. I wonder if he wrote that though.
His chat.
What's up, guys?
What? Kid, what is his chat?
What's up, guys? Streamer TV and first
And that's not even like remotely as bad as Twitch chat though.
up in the news, we have DrDisRespect with 3.7 million subscribers on YouTube, and you can find him playing at Call of Duty, action-adventure games and strategy games. Now yesterday during his live stream on YouTube of playing Call of Duty Warzone, DrDisRespect looked over his chat and he read messages, donations and other displayed contributions. At one point he come across a 6-month member notification from a viewer and almost says it. Here is DrDisRespect's reaction to the donation.
Alvaro Zuniga Zunija Zunia Night Zunyaija. You tried to get me, didn't you? You really did, huh? Alvaro, you tried to get me? You tried to get me, didn't you? You tried to put a little Spanish twist on it, huh? Put the little thing above the N to have me kind of got it. Gotcha.
People in DrDisRespect's stream at the time found the moment funny, spamming laughing emojis, and one attempted to inform him that the word was in Spanish. So guys, share your thoughts in the comment section below, and let's jump into the highlights.
Toast.
Why don't you say pancakes, Rich?
I don't know, man. I've had toast in my head for a while now.
Yeah, for a few months. Past month at least.
Unfortunately, it seems like the feeling wasn't mutual.
But you were a big inspiration for me. You're one of the reasons I started making content. You're still an inspiration to me.
He's not even paying attention to you.
Toast? Come on, man! Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh.
Hold on, I actually seem starved right now. Where's my, I need to get blood in my brain, hold on. I got a pilot breathe. Hold on. Go upside down.
I saw this. I saw it live. I was there.
I'll shake the blood inside of you.
Oh, see, you see, I'm famous. You see,
Hold on. I got a pilot breathe. Hold on.
see right there. There I am. You see that, guys? I'm in the clip. Here, let me show you. Doing this left-handed, okay? In the scene, you see, you see on the right side, you see Esvan walking up to Seer, and you see Seer prepare in concentration, hot chubby, watching, confused, not knowing what's going on, but not wanting to say anything because, for whatever reason. And there. Ah. I can do this left-handed. Seer's so funny though. Like Seer's seriously so funny. See, look. There I am. Right there. And now OBS allows me to control Z for like a while now. Okay.
Go upside down. I'll shake the blood inside of you.
You're so strange.
Oh yeah, this part. New emote.
Okay, you good?
Dude, I really have some fun.
Okay, I didn't realize how that looked on camera.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't see how it looked.
I was trying to like shake the blood into your brain. I didn't realize that looked on camera. I'm so dumb.
He's back, boy.
I'm gonna try it. If this stream doesn't work out, you know what? It doesn't work out. I'm gonna let Marisa do a thing. But Marisa's staying with me right now.
Oh wow, Finn made it to LSF. Finn's pretty interesting. He's like, honestly, like obviously, you know, he identifies as male, but honestly, he would make a. Well, he's like he'd make a hot femboy, okay? If he started taking estrogen, he'd be a pretty hot femboy. Okay, but I don't get to decide other people's lives, okay? He's a man, he likes being a man, okay, but he likes dressing up, and that's okay. Oh, my phone's ringing. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry. I got a phone call. It was to schedule my eye appointment. Not as exciting as my gender expansive care, but it's still important, you know. I probably need glasses, honestly. Like to be completely honest, I probably need glasses. I don't like wearing glasses, but I think I could find something that look good on me. I think I look pretty cute with glasses if I get the right ones. And this time I'm gonna be not getting ones that make me look masculine. Okay, I think I'll get some like women's glasses or more gender neutral that look good. See, the key is whether they look good on me. Okay, I have to look cute. That's when you wear glasses, they have to look cute on you. It's really important. It's actually really important. I mean, it's like you have to wear glasses. There's function. When you wear glasses, like there's function, but there's also like, well, it literally is like a part of your appearance. Like when you wear glasses, like, and honestly, I don't think I would wear them all the time. I would only wear them like, probably like when I'm reading or like using my computer or my phone. So I'd probably be using them on stream, honestly. Not for everything. I don't know. It'd probably protect my eyes, wouldn't it? Usually the glasses they're more advanced than they were. Like they have like blue light protection or whatever. I don't know. Blue light's not bad. I don't know. We'll see. I'll talk to these are things I talk to the doctor about, not just, Googling. Still, it's a way out. It's March 24th. It's way out. Like I have so much more, so it's so interesting, like all the like gender related stuff, all the stuff that's not related to like my trans related care, it seems so irrelevant, like because I'm so focused on like the other stuff, but really I should be treated, I should be also meeting halfway, which like, interestingly enough, going through my gender expansive care, it's interesting because I was literally just talking about how gender is interesting because Finn identifies as male, but like dresses up as a girl, on stream. I think there's something to it more than just content, but like whatever, people are who they are. And, although, Finn is super pretty, honestly, like.
No, that seems fine. Okay, sick. Anyway, all right. It's good. My upload speed can deal. No one saw it, right? But
17 months. Smirking face.
Wait a second. I need to deal with something. I need to deal with a thing that can't stay in the stream for any longer.
Oh, is there a poop? Wait, was there a poop?
I'm sorry, right? But
oh!
I need to deal with...
It's a dildo.
I need to deal with a thing.
You need to deal with the dildo. Is it the same one I have? It's pretty big.
That's against TOS.
Hey, I lost my knife and
is it though? You can show a dildo on stream if it's educational. And I don't think it's TOS if it's accident.
A new one.
Did anyone see it? Hold on. Oh my god, I'm so not used to fucking headphones.
How is he prettier than me? What the fuck? It's not fair. Like he's not even trying to appear like a girl now. Like he does the cosplay and he does the feminizing stuff. It's like, how come he gets to be prettier than me? What the fuck? Now I know how every other woman feels. Okay, so that's actually gender confirming. You see how that works?
Okay.
Because usually guys pretending to be girls end up being prettier. And so as a woman, I have to also feel that way. Do you see how that works? It's crazy. It does these crazy things in your brain to make you do all these gymnastics to confirm your own gender.
20 months I've been here too long.
Do you read chat? Of course I do.
Trying to have a kid. So if you want, we can do a kid versus kid competition.
When content goes too far. And I'm gonna go a little bit more on a rant again, okay? Like, I gotta tell you guys, I love being a woman, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that I'm able to transition and like feel better and like feel like, with the right hormones, all that good stuff, get my surgeries, okay? But being a woman in society is so fucking hard, okay? Like, and I'm just getting to the party, okay? Like seriously. Like, people need to calm the fuck down. Like, this goes on what I was saying, like it's like there's so many standards that like women are held up to higher than men. Like, And then as a trans person, people don't even accept I'm a woman. So it's like I have to try doubly hard. Although I don't know, I'm coming from a place of privilege, you know. I don't know. Although there's something about my hair I need to like. It's just not right, and I fucked up my eyebrows. Huh? You know. But the thing is like, this is literally the stuff like all women who are like, you know, trying to pass in some way, because there's considered like a, you know, obviously it's changing as society, you know, moves through stuff, but like, you know, being trans is like, it's even more gender confirming. So I feel like once a lot more trans people get to that point, like I did, or at least I get to where I'm at now, whatever comes next, I don't know about. So, like, I guess just acceptance of you know, I feel like more accepting of myself. Like, I don't need to like prove to anyone that I am the gender I say. Like, it's interesting. Like, interestingly enough, that confirms my gender more, because I feel like that's what becoming a woman is about. Is like getting over like appearances, getting over like how other people see you. And I feel like becoming a woman is about finding your inner strength and understanding like who you are, and not letting anybody else like, you know, define you. It's about like, you know, all that kind of stuff. And you know, as a trans person, it's just like you have to go through a few extra steps a little bit. But I think in the end it's pretty much like I feel like a lot more trans people trans women specifically, a lot more trans women would feel a lot better like knowing that like the way we feel about our gender, obviously, you know, we need to respect it. The fact that like we do come from a starting point where it's a little bit different. But at the same, you know, because it's like, we usually say like, oh, you know, it's like, because some people will like brush off trans people's dysphoria in which is very kind of a very insensitive thing to do, because they'll say things like, oh, all women have to deal with that. You know, I understand, but like, there is something else going on too. And yeah, like, you know what it is actually okay, so I don't know if I can only speak for myself, but also that like feeling of like the fact that I don't that I feel privileged for having the fact that I feel like I have privilege for even talking about my dysphoria, because, oh, well, you know, like I don't know how to explain it. Let me just fix something. Oh, what happened? What the fuck? Okay. That should be better. The fact that I feel that I have privilege simply because I feel, no, not privilege, but the fact that I get dysphoria by the fact that usually men will mansplain things to women. And so I also feel like they're like, okay, so I feel like there's like this internalized transphobia of like misgender, of like feeling like I have privilege that makes, like, it's just this weird combination of things, is that because sometimes I, like, get really like, oh, well, women have it hard, and there's always this, like, little tiny voice in the back of my mind. And it's not just transphobes. Like, literally, I have internalized transphobia. There's this little voice in the tiny back of my mind. It's like, oh, well, you have it easier because you were signed male at birth, or like you're just getting, like, you're just like wanting to be the victim. Like, there's all this stuff, and it's like, what's really ironic is that's probably how most women feel. Like, I really just need it. It's like, see, like, being trans, it's just basically like telling your dysphoria to calm the fuck down. Like, that's basically what it is. And it's not based on appearance. So that's why I was saying, like, I have a hard time, like, I see people like Finn, who are like super pretty when he dresses up and like does stuff like that. And it's like, oh my God, like, I just assume that anybody who feminizes has to be trans, and like, that's internalized transphobia. Like, I mean, that's actual transphobia. Like, because, like, cisgender white, why is white part of it? Cisgender men are allowed to dress the way they want to, and they're still men. Okay, like, it's just like, it's really hard for me to fathom, even as a trans person. So it's like, I try to, like, cut people some slack, because if it's hard enough for me, a literal trans person, to understand gender, then, and how it, like, all the stuff, like, works, that there's different identities and there's different people with different identities. And then it's like, how is somebody who's, like, never met a trans person, or, doesn't have to think about it on their daily life, how they are approaching, the issue. But I think on their part, they need to meet us halfway and stop getting so fucking offended that we're defending ourselves. Okay? Because, like, they're like, oh, those trans people, they're always just yelling on Twitter and arguing and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you should do your part too. We need to do our part and calm the fuck down. Okay? That's a huge thing. And I'm probably going to get canceled by the trans community eventually. Because the trans community online sometimes can be completely unreasonable. And I'm not allowed to say that just because I'm trans. I'm allowed to say that because I'm allowed to have an opinion. If that makes any sense. Being trans doesn't shield you from personal, like, responsibilities as a person in society.
So you heard what I said.
Yeah, I can come inside of her. Condoms are cringe. That's fine.
Wow, what a statement.
Like, Soda, so you gotta love Soda, man. Like, he just goes there.
Oh, too long.
Do you read chat? Of course I do.
Trying to have a kid.
So
if you want, we can do a kid versus kid competition.
So you heard what?
Oh, I see what he's saying. I thought he meant like he would make content where they both had kids and they would like do competitions with their kids. I'm like, I thought he was making a joke, like where it's like, oh, if we have kids, we can make content with the kids as content.
I said.
Yeah, I can come inside of her. Condoms are cringe. That's fine.
Wow, what a statement. Condoms are cringe.
Yeah.
I mean, would you want to put your mouth on something that's been up a butt? So I mean, if you want to have more fun, use protection so you don't, so it's like you don't limit your options. So that way you can have somebody go you can do oral, then you can have someone go into butt, and then you can take off the condom, put a new one on, and then do oral again. Okay, instead of having to do all this stuff with all this like awkwardness and cleaning and all that stuff. Okay, like, come on. And it also protects you from like infections. It's just a better experience for everyone. Okay, calm the fuck down. Like, get used to wearing a condom. Find one that feels comfortable. Don't fucking be like, oh, it takes away all the feeling. And this doesn't just go for people with penises either, because I've talked to people with vaginas, like women usually. Actually, the only people I've heard from it were like cisgender women. where they say like, oh, I want to have the feeling. It's like, well, do you want to have an infection? Like, do you want to be in pain the next couple of days because you forgot to like wash or whatever, and there like dirt got inside of there, or like, do you want to have to deal with like all that? Do you have to? Do you want to? And also, if you're able to get pregnant, do you want to have to deal with like a potential pregnancy? Like, dude, like. Everybody needs to calm the fuck down. Use protection. Condoms are like the easiest. Okay?
That'd be kind of cool.
But I'm biased, so it's 24. You have 21.
And if you're in a long-term relationship and you're worried about that, I mean, first of all, there's always the chance of infection, not just sexually, like, not just diseases. There's also just the chance for infections, like just because there might be like some kind of dirt or something somewhere, you know? So it's like, come on, use protection.
Seconds now on the clock. 16 seconds. Go.
So when I saw like some of these clips, like during the show, like I popped in, or I saw a little bit like clips, I didn't realize, because I don't really know Scar too much. Honestly, I don't really watch video game content. Like, honestly, I think it's boring. I really like the stuff that like OTK is doing, like this specifically. Like, this is content to me. Like, it's like a TV show. Like, to me, obviously some people really like gaming content, but every time I see honestly, like, I mean, there must be people who enjoy it, but every single time I see a video game clip on Streamer TV or Top Keck, I tune out. I'm like, okay, well, what's so funny? Like, it's just a video game thing. You have to play the game to understand what's going on, and even then, it's just a game. Like I'm here for content, not for gameplay. But some people are, of course. But I don't really watch like a lot of streamers, especially more gaming streamers. So like Skara, I didn't even realize he has this Skara. This is S-Fan, by the way. It's a joke. But he's making fun of the fact they're making. Well, this is obviously all scripted, or at least bullet points and stuff like that. Even if not everyone's aware of it. So I'm pretty sure what goes on is that everybody kind of has expectations for the show, but like some people have different like, plans ahead of time. And I think this may have been one of them. Well, but maybe not. Maybe it's fully scripted. Who knows? You never know. Okay, that's the magic of entertainment. Is that the only people who know are the people who know, and even the people who know don't know everything. Because Mizkif might not know everything. There might be stuff that these people talk about behind his back before they do the show. You never know. Or maybe there's some mastermind named Tips Out who like just orchestrates it all. Who knows? Every single line that everybody says across every single stream, every single second, it's completely scripted by Tips Out. Okay? That's fact. That's true. You can verify it. But I didn't realize, like, Skara, the reason why S-Fan is making fun of it is because Skara is, like, infamous for having, like, taking, like, giant drinks from, like, his cup, and he puts his hand, like, on the bottom of it. I can't do it this, because, like this, like, or I can do it with my actual water. I have a big water thing, too, so it's, like, it's kind of funny. I mean, I don't want to have to get up and constantly refill my water. Like this, like... That was very satisfying.
I got nothing, guys. Soy.
For S?
They already said sugar?
Yeah, they already did.
It's too short to be sweetener.
No, because the other one had like, it was a short line, but it was also cupcakes. So it could be sweetener.
I mean, wait, we're just guessing, right? Like, we're just talking right now? We're not actually guessing, right?
Yeah.
Or are we guessing right now?
I think you get a lot of guesses, don't you?
I think we're just talking it out.
Okay, so this is like brainstorming part. Like, there's no timer for this?
I think so.
Oh, okay. It's too short to be strawberries, too. Oh, wait, there's already strawberries right there.
Currency.
Guys.
Or head.
Gee. That was long. I saw the Gatorade one. I didn't know that. I didn't see that one. I didn't see like the super long one.
To the craft works
You know what?
to craft using the materials you've gathered.
It seems like it's...
Wait, is Super Mario Brothers? Is Pokemon Arceus? Is it basically like RuneScape? I mean, is it like Minecraft? Like is it Pokemon or is it Minecraft or is it RuneScape?
It seems like they took some of the content that worked to refresh the Zelda series, and they think it's gonna help refresh the Pokemon series. And you know what? I don't mind them trying something because Pokemon, people complain it's always the same.
Pokemon has been exactly the same. I'm sorry. I might get canceled for this eventually. Pokemon has been exactly the same since Red and Blue. It's a hot take, okay? It has been exactly the same. There is no way you can convince me. I don't care how many extra features you add to the game, whether you add talent shows, whether you add like, you know, a clock, like in Pokemon Gold and Silver, whether you add like day and night. Okay, that was cool. Okay, you add all these additional features into the game, it's still fucking catching Pokemon. Okay, you cannot improve on it. Like, you can add different features, but to complain about it because, I mean, you can't change it without fundamentally changing it. Like, it's always going to be Pokemon. It's never going to be not Pokemon. Like, so it's like any other features are just kind of like silly things they do to try out. So it's like, to say that like, oh, why don't they make Pokemon more unique? It's the same as the last one. Well, Pokemon Gold and Silver was virtually exactly the same as Pokemon Gold, Red and Blue. Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire were virtually identical to Pokemon Gold and Silver. Diamond and Pearl to Diamond and Purple. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were virtually identical to Ruby and Sapphire. It's been like that since the very beginning. I have not fully completed a Pokemon game since Pokemon. I never completed Gold, Silver / or Ruby and Sapphire or Emerald. I started Emerald, but like. I have never completed a Pokemon game except for Pokemon Red and Blue, and well, I think I completed Red. No, I did Red and Blue. I finished both, and then I never finished Yellow, and then I never played the Fire Red. I never finished Fire Red or Leaf Green or whatever. I never beat anything except for Blue, Red, and Diamond. I have never completed another Pokemon game in my entire life. And honestly, I don't think I'm missing out on much. I want to play Sword and Shield. Actually, I want to play Shield, but I don't have a Switch. One day I want to be able to afford a Switch. I cannot afford one for quite a while, I don't think. But at one point, I do want to play Shield. I don't know about Arceus. I do want to play Shield, though.
Game. I think them trying something is the best they can do. It's the best they can do.
The Pokemon you've caught can be left at
What else are
pastures.
they gonna do?
The clothier and hairdresser let you customize
I just
your
hope
clothing
that they don't make it
your
as linear
hairstyle
and
as well.
boring as it could be. And they make it more freestyle.
Yeah, are they making him? I don't know. What is like Arceus? Is that actually like a mainline game, or is it like a? Is it actually like a mainline game, or is it like a, or is it like a completely different style of game? Because if it's a regular Pokemon game, I might just want to start with that. But I don't know. Shield is I want to play Shield like for real. I don't know what's with these spam bots. They don't really say anything. Like is that even a website? Like what the hell is even going on with these like voom.rent, voom.ngo? Like what the fuck does that even mean? What purpose does it possibly have? Oh, Arceus is a legendary Pokemon. It is Pokemon Arceus a main Pokemon game. Game is set in the bygone era, when it's known as the Hisui region, long before the events of Diamond and Pearl. And their remakes take place. This makes Pokemon Legends Arceus the first mainline game to feature starter Pokemon from different regions together. Okay, so it is a mainline game. It's not some alt game. Oh, it comes out in 3 days. Yeah, so I don't know if I want to start with this one or if I want to start with Shield. Should I start... should I skip Shield and go straight to Arceus? I don't think so. I think I want to play Shield. It does seem like a blend between Sword and Shield and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This one is not the next mainline Pokemon title, but instead simply a fun spin-off. Okay. Yeah, Arceus will not be a fully open world game. Oh, it is considered to be part of the core series. Huh, interesting. Latest release, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shine Pearl. What? Honestly, like, I have never played Sword or Shield, and so I want to get, when I do get a Switch eventually, I do want to get Pokemon Shield. Like, I don't know if I want to get Sword or Shield. Pokemon Sword. Which one has better artwork? I don't know. For the cover. Differences. What are the exclusives? I think that's the main part. Exclusive legendaries. Here we go. Ah! Come on. Exclusive legendaries. Returning Pokemon. Okay. I mean, it doesn't really matter to me because these are all, like, new to me. So, honestly, I'm just going to get Shield because Sword sounds very antagonistic. I don't know. I like that artwork. Like, do I want this one or do I want this one? Like, which one do I want? A Sword or a Shield? I think I'm more of a Sword. And like, Sword doesn't mean phallic and Shield doesn't mean, like, vagina or whatever. Okay, people need to, like, calm the fuck down, okay? Sword is a personality. And when I go into fight or flight, I fight. Okay, I'm a Sword. And, you know, Pokemon Sword just sounds cooler than Pokemon Shield. I don't know. So eventually I'll get to play this game, and of course I'll try my best to try to get it on stream, of course, but who knows, I'll probably play a lot off stream. I do need a game that I play off stream, and I think if I eventually get to a place where I can actually afford a Switch, I might not even get the full Switch, I'll just get the Switch Lite or whatever, I don't know. Okay, I'll just close that way.
I think people enjoy that.
Like it, head to the photography studio to take pictures of your Pokemon.
I don't know.
And then you and Justin can cook against each other, and me and Sean will be the judges.
Too much work.
LOL? Is it LOL playing? Think of 100 bits. Sorry, this is harder.
I like how Shroud is, like, he's just, like, really letting loose. Like, this is what money does to people, okay? It just lets them be the best version of themselves. Like, honestly, I feel like Shroud, he doesn't give a fuck about anything anymore. So it's like, it doesn't mean that you're lazy. It means, like, quite the opposite. It means that you're free. Like, people say, oh, money, you know, art comes from struggle. It's like, no, struggle is, like, probably the biggest, like, dividing, like, it's the biggest, like, path, like, resistance towards artistic success. Because if you have to constantly struggle about paying rent, or you know, like, you're like, your car breaks down, all this shit goes on in your life that you have to do that takes away from art, like, you're not going to be able to focus on it. People are like, oh, it comes from the struggle, and it's no, you do it in spite of the struggle, okay, not because of the struggle. And if you didn't have the struggle, you probably would do better in your art. Like people, you have no metric. You have no way of going back and seeing how things would be if you didn't have struggles. So it is just what it is, and it's just like anything else in life. You just live with it, you know. But like I like how, like, I don't know, I'm kind of going on a tangent. It's literally just Shroud drinking water from a faucet. Okay, but seriously, like if people have money and they don't have to worry about it, they can just be themselves. And I feel like people have this fear that if you give people universal basic income, that they're just going to leech off the government or whatever. And they're like, okay, well, let them. Ask them again in a few months when they're depressed as shit because they don't have anything to do, and they start looking for things to do. Okay, so they're going to find something to do. And if they do leech off the thing for the rest of their life, well, then they probably wouldn't have contributed much to society anyway. You may as well give them a comfortable life. But like I'm seeking out SSI not because I want to leech off of government, but because I actually hate that. I want to actually be a tax-paying citizen and contribute to society. I want to make enough money so that I can pay taxes. Okay, because taxes help people who need it, just like I need it right now. When I start getting SSI, my goal is to get out of needing it. But they're going for trying to get it to permanent SSI because so that like they can withhold as much. Like if I make enough money, they'll withhold it, but as soon as I need it, they can give it back instead of having to go through the whole process again each time. Because this is not a temporary disability. I have this for the rest of my life, and I can do my best to try to work around it. But in the end of the day, it's not something that I should be like held responsible to, because it's going to fail at some point, even if I try my best not to. But I want to do something with my life to contribute, and I mean, you could say that this is not really content. Okay, I'm just reacting to stuff, whatever. But this is not the only thing I do. I make other content that apparently people enjoy enough to give me money for. So, how you contribute to society is not up to any individual. Okay, we live in an entire world full of different people, and anything that you could do could potentially be beneficial to somehow. Just because you don't think something is beneficial doesn't mean it is. Doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you're right. Like this is making people laugh. People watching it and laughing at Shroud drinking water from a faucet. Okay.
I had a thought. They can't see me. It's fine. What?
Oh, because he's used to having his camera right. I think he did that on purpose. I don't know what you said in Moot. But I think because Shroud usually has his webcam over on the left side, because in FPS games, I think that's probably the better place to put it, because it's in the line of the center, because you're usually looking at the center in FPS games. So I think if you put your camera on the bottom right or top left or anywhere, it takes away. And if you put your camera in like the middle center where Shroud puts it, it's like your line of sight is the same. Do you see? I don't speak that language. Please don't speak that language anymore, or you will be timed out for 5 minutes. I know it's German, but I don't know what it means. It looks like you called me a crackhead. Du siehst aus wie ein Kraki. Look. Okay, let's. Huh? How come it defaulted to Chinese, simplified Chinese? Was it the last thing I used it for? You look like a crackhead. Yeah, I don't look like a crackhead. What the fuck? I don't smoke crack. I don't know why people say that. Like, it's just so funny though. People say, "Oh, you look like a crackhead." Like, come on. Like, have you ever actually met a crackhead? Okay, like some people are just like skinnier and have and also most of the time I think it's just your jawline. Like, I have a more jagged jawline, and I'm going to be getting facial surgery for that. So just a reminder, I am a trans woman, and it feels a little bit more of a personal attack when you talk about facial features that I'm trying to change. You meant 15 to 16? In Frankfurt, I guess. I'm going to say that, but I don't even know anything about Frankfurt, but I'm going to say it because it's probably going to make you laugh.
You can't see me. It's fine.
We can definitely see you.
Here, let me respond just so you can clip it. Yeah, you're in Frankfurt. You met like 15 to 16 crackheads. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds like Frankfurt. Okay.
What? Oh, they actually could see me.
Pasta noodle.
I think he knew they could see him. I think he was making a joke. Or maybe he's just really just so used to his own stream. I don't know.
Penne.
Scar, what's his name an astrology sign?
That's S-Fan, by the way. It's a joke.
There's a timer, bro!
He's thirsty.
Hydration comes first.
Cancer?
If you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to
And the fact that he said cancer because the meme is a kid. You know Yasuo? I remember Yasuo when he played in PogChamps. Interestingly enough, a lot of these streamers, even like XQC, and I didn't even really know much about Pokimane either. Like most of these streamers who are like not, like when I was first on Twitch, the reason I made a Twitch account, well, first of all, the reason I first made a Twitch account was because I wanted to watch StarCraft 2. But I don't even think I made an account. I think I just watched it at first because in like 2013 I made my account. Was because of chess, because I wanted to watch, because I was into I was in the chess community. And I still am, kind of, but you know, but whatever. I mean, I'm a part of any community, right? I got into Twitch because of chess. And then I didn't even really find out about the bigger overall picture of Twitch until PogChamps. And I found out about XQC and all this other stuff. And I went through the phases, okay? I'm still going through phases that, you know, you're never not going through phases. But it's, you know, I went through the whole outrage thing first, where I was like, oh, XQC can't say that. Oh, he's calling people soy. That's used by the alt-right. And like all stuff like that. But honestly, like now that I've watched a lot of, yeah, Burger King's pretty good. It's just a little bit too greasy. A lot of these streamers, like, I'm starting to get it. I'm starting to align myself more with them and less with the outrage people. Which makes me vastly different than a lot of people who are like, you know, I know that there's kind of a meme, there's a stereotype of trans people on the internet where it's like, if you're trans, you have to be like a super liberal, like communist, like outraged all the time and everything. Okay, but that's just because a lot of trans people are, you know, kind of get lost down that rabbit hole, because a lot of times people don't really have much support in their own life, and so they go on the internet and they go to the internet people, and internet people are crazy. Okay. I wasn't really a man, I just thought I was.
drop a like, and if you want to keep up with the latest news and clips, be sure to subscribe and turn notifications on, and I'll see you guys.
But I mean, medically and also partly, you know, I did kind of resign because when I first came out as trans, I had a really rough time when I was 18 or so for a couple of years, and I just like kind of like waffled around. I was like, I was on the fence about whether or not I would try to pursue getting on hormones and surgeries, because at the time it would have cost me tens of thousands of dollars, at least. Yeah, medically and socially, I'm 100% a woman, yeah. Although a lot of the times I do consider myself a girl because I feel like womanhood is something you have to grow into. But that's, you know, my own personal definition of womanhood. I literally am a woman. Okay, I'm not a girl. I'm over 18. I'm 34. But like, you know, like there's different definitions. Like there's social definitions, there's like personal definitions, there's medical definitions. Like there's all sorts of different things that go into who we are as a person, not just gender. And for me, as part of my gender is like, okay, well, I see myself as a girl becoming a woman. And I also, yeah, all that kind of stuff. As a trans woman, you got a D or a V? Well, right now I have a D. It's going to be a V this year. I've been working really hard to change it. And I have a consultation in about let's see, 5 days, in about 2 weeks. Yeah, in about 2 weeks. In about 2 weeks, I'm gonna have the consultation about my V. And I'm really excited. It's going to be really difficult. It's been a lot of work just leading up to this. And then, of course, getting the surgery itself is a huge ordeal, especially me since I'm autistic. And that's been part of it, too. It's not just been about gender. I've also been, like, developing tools and de-escalation techniques and trying to manage my life, you know, because I have specific challenges that prevent me from doing a lot of things. And one of those things is earning an income through a job, a reliable job. Right now, I don't have a reliable job. I earn some money, but it's not reliable, and it's not enough money. But even then, even if I earned like a couple $1,000s a month, there's always the case that I might not earn anything, because that's just the nature of content creation. Hopefully, I can get to a place where I can be safe financially, where I can save up enough money to be safe and have a safety net. But right now, I need a safety net, and so I applied for SSI over 2 years ago, and like 2 years ago, basically, and but we really went to like October 2020. Yeah, October, like 2 years, like it was like a year and a few months ago. They're gonna backdate the payments too, but. Which is unfortunate because I've been going through this really traumatic process of applying for it for 2 years. I've had to explain all the things that make it impossible for me to work a job that has brought me back to a lot of trauma. I have had to go through a lot of PTSD just dealing with this, just so I can get a safety net. But I had the hearing in January 6th because I got denied 3 times, which I was told they always do. Except in very, very rare circumstances, so it's like it's pretty normal. It's a very long and drawn out process, and it's hurt me a lot. Although once I get the money, I can relax. It'll be over. But I still have a lot of work to do after that, because I don't want to just live with the bare minimum of life. I want to upgrade my life just a little bit at least. I want to get out of the trailer. I want to get out of my dad's house. I want to live my own independent life. I want to be able to work on my career. I want to be able to build something bigger for myself. I want to achieve some things in life. I want to contribute to society. I want to pay taxes. I don't want to just leech off the government. As much as some people might want to do that, that's not something I want to do. I want to be a contributing member of society who pays taxes, because I need that payment right now. But once I'm in a place where I can take care of myself, the money I pay for taxes will help somebody similar to me.
In the next one.
Then the dude, the final bit of this way. More like me will come. You cannot replace me.
Oh my god. Oh shit.
He makes the noises too. Holy shit!
Oh my god. That was so close.
What the fuck?
That was cute. Seriously. Oh, what the fuck?
Or is it like just foam?
Oh my god.
On behalf of the Father, he disgraces you to the 7th realm of hell. Rest in peace!
That was good. These people are good actors. Like, seriously, they have a lot of potential. Like, I could see them in movies eventually. Like, they're on Twitch right now, but I feel like OTK is really working on something a lot bigger. Like, they're like basically starting like an acting guild. I want to be a part of it, honestly. Like, it'd be so cool to be a part of that. And what if they come over to, I don't know. I don't want to go over to Texas. Honestly, that's assuming they even want anything to do with me. Okay, talk about ego. Oh, I'm perfect for the job then.
That feeds into
okay,
my
so I never actually.
What's
What's going on? I never actually watched this this debate with Hassan and this guy. I saw like a clip or two, with Christian Walker. But now we're gonna react to Destiny reacting.
That feeds into my point.
They're
Just because
not.
you look that way doesn't mean you're actually that. So just because
Yeah, Hassan, you're making the... you're accidentally arguing the other point. What are you doing?
No, wouldn't cooperate, wouldn't cooperate, wouldn't cooperate. No, he didn't.
It's you just need one... Hassan, you just need one more question. The next question is... It's fine, you can agree on this. You haven't lost anything. Then you just say, the killer argument here, I don't know if the TikToker kid knows this, but the killer argument is here. So would you also agree?
I mean, you don't even want to watch it now?
He's so mad.
You are just a trans person. Sorry, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Oh my god, dude. It's so weird. I'll never get a chance to challenge him, which to his credit is probably good for him. But like, we argued so much over like the fact that you might say an offensive joke in private is such a horrible thing.
I honestly do think that so many people get so offended, including myself, get so offended over jokes. But I feel like the sign of progress, obviously there's a time where like you just don't make jokes. Like, okay, like if you have a family member who's going through chemo, I hate using this example because it's about a negative thing instead of a positive thing, where even though a lot of trans people, we go through a lot of trauma to get to a better place, the key word is that we get to a better place. But I mean, I guess that's with cancer too. Oh, it's like cancer, okay? Being trans is basically like having cancer. So if I want to have if I want to be a victim, I guess, well, I'm already a victim. I'm trans. Like, what the fuck? I don't feel like a victim, even though I am. I downplay it. It's interesting. It's a survival thing. You get tougher. But I feel like arbitrarily saying that everybody needs to get tougher, and I could just say whatever I want and walk over. I think there's a place where it's like, well, I need to do the work to get a tougher skin, but maybe you need to do the work to be a little bit more sensitive. Because I don't think you have the right to get mad at somebody for being offended unless you've done at least a little bit of tiny work to like educate yourself. Because I feel like if you just get upset off the bat that somebody's offended without even knowing why, I feel like you're being really unreasonable. Like, obviously, if you're like somebody who's like a feminist and you're like totally for like trans rights and women's rights, and you know, of course, trans women's rights is like the intersection between those. Like, I feel like if you're like researched on all the stuff and all that, I feel like you have a little bit more say in like, oh, you know, you're being unreasonable right now by being offended. Like, you know, Destiny, you know, as much as people like to shit on him, he's very educated and he does advocate for a lot of positive change. You know, obviously, you know, everybody's different and has their own style, and you know, he is a commentator. Which is partly performative. I mean, very performative, actually. But in the end of the day, like, he's still a person with values, and he does push for those values, just like I push for values of mine. But I do think that, like, you know, people will call out like people like Destiny for saying something like potentially offensive or whatever. But if anybody can say something offensive, I think it's somebody who, which I don't think anybody has the right to. Obviously, everybody can say it, but I mean, as far as right, I mean like whether they should, you know, like whether it's a good thing or neutral or bad thing or whatever. If anybody can, it's somebody who's highly educated on the topics and who pushes for positive change. But like, I feel like a lot of people on the internet, they just shut down. They hear somebody say something that they're like, hey, that was an offensive joke, and they're like, why are you making and they don't even take any steps to go past that initial part. They get offended that they're getting offended. Which obviously in some cases, a lot of cases, probably on Twitter and stuff, in some cases, there's going to be people who are getting overly offended, simply like they're overreacting, and including myself. I have overreacted because something hit me much more personally than it did other people, which I don't think I should be held at fault. I don't think I should be seen as like at fault for that. But it is something I personally don't like. I really don't think that we should just get offended at everything because it doesn't solve anything. Actually working through the issues is what solves it. And just shutting down and saying, no, that's offensive. No, that's offensive. Like, that doesn't say anything. You're saying it's offensive, but you're not doing anything to like change it. Now, if that person is not taking any steps of their own, it's not your responsibility to educate them when that information is freely available on the internet. Many people have talked about trans issues. So saying, oh, well, I'm not really aware of trans issues, but I get to have an opinion. Like, no, like there's it's not like it's a new thing. Like come on, like trans people have been around forever. Like not just in recent times. It's only been politicized recently, like the past like 10 or 15 years or whatever. You know, which is because like, and only in response to people who have been infringing trans people's rights. So that's the reason why people are offended. Is not because I mean, obviously, I can't decide why other people get offended or not, but I do think that it works both ways. Like, getting offended just because you hear someone say a joke is unreasonable, but also doubling down and getting defensive over somebody getting offended is equally as bad if you haven't done any work to meet them halfway. Like, that goes for both sides. Like, if you get offended just for the sake of being offended, I'm sorry, but like, you're not contributing anything at all to society. Anything at all. You're actually a detriment, because people are just going to see you and laugh at you, say, oh, that's just another crazy trans person, and they're going to double down on their own like stupid ass beliefs. However, the people who are getting offended at the people getting offended are also wrong, because they're not doing any work at all to try to learn about the issues, and they're just saying, oh, well, why are you getting offended? Why are you getting offended? Well, if you don't know why they're getting offended and you're not making an effort to learn why, then why are you so adamant about, you know, getting mad about it? Because maybe they are justifiably offended. You don't know that. So, you know, take a little time to learn about the subject and see things from other people's point of view, because it's not just about reading information. It's about understanding that information from the people's different perspectives, because you can look at the information, but if you look at that information with the wrong mindset, like from a different angle, you're gonna know more about it instead of looking at it from only your point of view. So obviously, I'm not, you know, everybody. This applies to everybody. Like, this applies to me. You know, like I see things from a very specific point of view, from the point of view of a trans person going through gender expansive care, okay, like, and going through social transition in a world where for some reason trans people are politicized unjustifiably, because people like to justify it with false information. You know, which is already like, if you're justifying your opinions with false information, you've already lost. Like, because you started off from the wrong foot. Like, they say things that sound reasonable if what they were saying was based on truth. Because when people say like, oh, you know, but what about all these kids who just see stuff on TikTok and they think, oh, I want to be trans too. That doesn't fucking happen, and you know it. And if you don't, may God have mercy on your soul, because you're a stupid dumbass.
But if you're a funny enough Zoomer with a big enough following, it's okay if you're legitimately racist and transphobic, as long as you make some funny TikTok jokes as well. Right? Like, how does that argument hold up? How would he ever defend that position? It seems like unbelievable. Okay, because people keep linking this, people want you to know that Hassan has a mustache now, and so does Hassan 2.0. I don't know if it's related or not.
Can we stop and get some Hassan? We have Hassan at home. Hassan at home.
That you're a sign of birth is the most important thing. If you're a man, you get fucking a certain set of toys. If you're a boy, you get a certain set of toys. If you're a girl, you get a certain set of toys.
Just a second. I gotta fix my hair. It's like fucking bothering me. Not the way it looks, just the way it feels. I have it too tight, and that bothers me. Okay, and I also I don't particularly like the fact that my bangs hang like that. Like, or whatever you call them. Like, I don't know. I think maybe I should just let my hair breathe a little bit. I need a shower today. Like, I don't know, I feel like my hair is falling out. No, I'm pulling it out. I feel like I'm pulling my hair out. I'm probably not. It's just, it bothers me when I get my hair stuck in something or whatever. Yeah, either way, I try to be careful, and honestly, I think the biggest part is just, I need this part of my face feminized, like kind of like this part, and they're gonna pull this down, and I don't know. That's all going to be figured out in the consultation in March, early March. In early March, I'm getting consultation for facial surgery. So, you know, they're going to take care of some things that have really been fucking bothering me. Okay, like I know I made the meme of like, what was it? This one? Advice is to not do something until you're ready. Never do something. I made the meme yesterday. You know what's bothering me? Wait. You know what's bothering me? I'll tell you what's bothering me. You know what's bothering me? Okay, so I know it's like, you know what's been bothering me. And one of the things that's been bothering me a lot is just my face. Even though people say, oh, you're so feminine, it's like, okay, do you see this fucking giant, like, caveman forehead? Okay? You might say it's not too bad, but it is for me, okay? Just take my word for it. It's really fucking bad.
And that's unchanging. And you have to fit that rigid binary, right? So when someone comes along and says, actually, everything you knew about yourself and everything you knew about how the world operates is fucking wrong, actually, this is how it works, then that breaks your fucking brain. That's precisely why so many trans people themselves are often experiencing internalized transphobia.
Yeah, it's because we get so many... It makes you feel so gaslit. Like, because there's people... I mean, obviously, I know that those people are fucking wrong. But then I even feel like a lot of people who are supportive of trans people don't fully get it either. And they just kind of go along with it because they see how it affects us. And I don't understand that that's really all family members can do, you know? Because, like, if you say your family are the people who support you, you know, they want to be supportive. And the only way, they don't really understand the issue. They're trying to learn, but while they're still trying to learn, you know, at no time do you, like, deny people their basic human rights, their basic civil rights, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, when you start saying, like, oh, you know, because you were assigned this gender at birth, that means that you can't use the bathroom. Like that kind of shit. At no time should the government decide, like, you know, like, hey, like, there's no real reason to deny somebody access to a bathroom in the first place, regardless of gender. Like, why do we even have separated bathrooms in the first place? Okay, well, maybe because a lot of people in like, you know, might feel uncomfortable, and it's kind of a general consensus that, like, you know, generally people who use the women's restroom just don't want to see men in the restroom. Okay, well then, you know, okay, so a trans woman comes in and somebody thinks that person's a man, but, like, you know, I'm a woman, regardless of what you think of me. I'm not going to... And also, even a man coming into the... Even if an actual cisgender man came into the women's restroom, I doubt anything bad would happen. Like, that person probably just had diarrhea or something, and the only bathroom available because the other one was full, and this person didn't want to shit their pants. Okay? Like it's a toilet. It's a bathroom. Like, I don't know why it's so highly politicized. It's not. It doesn't seem to be as politicized nowadays. But then again, I'm in California, so maybe I don't. I guess you just don't hear about it in the news anymore. But it's still probably an issue. I mean, I know it's an issue. Like North Carolina, they have, like, you have to. First of all, how are they going to verify this? But in North Carolina, you have to have female on your birth certificate in order to use the women's restroom. Like, that's fucking stupid. How are they going to verify this? You go to the bathroom, you have to carry your birth certificate with you? What the fuck? What if you're a cisgender woman and you just look slightly masculine? It's so ridiculous. Like, just let people fucking pee and poop. Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
So, like, that they themselves are fucking transphobic, and then they realize, like, oh shit, maybe I'm trans. Like, it's...
Yeah, that's actually how it started. I actually think there is a lot to say about that. It's not that it makes you trans, okay? You're already trans, okay? Because if it were the other way around, all these transphobic people would have come out by now. Okay, so it's like, nothing makes you who you are except for just who you are. So saying that, like, oh, it's just all this TikTok videos that's making people trans. Like, no. People have been making TikTok videos since the dawn of time. Okay? TikTok is just an idea. TikTok is literally people making videos. It's literally people communicating information. Because a human mind is so strong. People do not give people credit, especially young people. People do not give people enough credit. It's really kind of offensive to people. It's kind of It's kind of like an insult. That you would assume that people are so weak that they could just hear something and it just influences them entirely. You know, like seeing a TikTok video talking about gender is not going to make you transgender if you're not. And if it did, there would be a lot more than like what I think it's even less than, it's way less than like 4% of the population. It's probably like more like 0.5% or something like that. Probably less than 1% of the population. If it, you know, that's probably generous. Like, it's probably about less, like 1% of the population is trans. And if all this stuff like TikTok and stuff made people trans when they're not, there'd be like way more because kids fucking eat up TikTok. Okay? Like, you know, yeah, some people do like stupid fads and stuff. This is not a fad. Okay? If it were, there's plenty of time. It would end well before you got to the point of taking hormones. Well before it, let alone surgeries. If you get to the point of surgeries, I've had to fight tooth and nail, giving blood and sweat, sacrificing my mental health, even though in the long term it's better for my mental health. But, you know, sacrificing my sanity even just to get the things I need. Okay, so like these are not the actions of someone who's just acting on a fad. So it's absolutely insane how people just insult people's brains. They just think that people are so weak that they could just be 100% influenced by something they heard on the internet. It's so freaking ridiculous.
It's normal because it's normalized, it's normative. The normative position is to be like kind of transphobic, and that's precisely why I'm understanding to it.
Just like how kind of like society kind of like leans toward like the default being male. Like, you notice how people call it gender neutral when you say you guys? I mean, the fact that you see that as gender neutral means that it's kind of more of a male normative society.
Certain degree of people when they're like questioning these sorts of things, but when you take it one step further and are literally like more obsessed with what trans people are doing than other fucking trans people, then it's like, okay, you're obsessively and pathologically following.
Wait, what?
One step further and are literally like more obsessed with what trans people are doing than other fucking trans people.
Oh, you're more concerned with what they're doing instead of the person themselves. Like, you don't care about the person, you just care about the actions they're taking. It's like, come on. Like, dude, like they're doing the best they can with the currently best knowledge that we have available, which is not going to really change. It's gonna like, you know, get more refined. But we know that there are standards of care that lead to the best outcomes that we can get for trans people. So if you know that you need hormones, you're gonna fucking need hormones. Like, nothing is gonna change that. There's no amount of exercise or praying the gay away or whatever the fuck these people call it. There's no amount of deviating that will take that need away, because the only treatment for needing hormones is literally taking hormones. The only treatment for needing to turn your penis into a vagina is literally turning your penis into a vagina. You can't just like hope that gets better. It's not going to. Okay, and if you do, you know, obviously that's your right too. If you're gonna like, you know, find God or whatever, instead of transitioning, I hope that you find something there. But honestly, you shouldn't project that on every single person on the planet. Not everybody wants to be a fucking Christian. Okay, like Jesus Christ, dude.
Then it's like, okay, you're obsessively and pathologically following everything that trans people are doing so you can fucking develop an argument about like why trans people shouldn't do this.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of seems like a self-report. Like they might be trans. Like, all these people who are so adamant about fighting against trans rights, I think they might be trans. Like, honestly. And you know what? I hope that you get the help you need, because everybody should. You know, whatever it is, there is no one size fits all. It's not like breaking an arm or a leg. You don't just put somebody in a cast, and just say, oh, okay, well, you're trans. We're going to inject with you hormones, whether you want it or not. We're going to give you a surgery, that's not how it works. Like, the patient is the one that decides that. And the doctors facilitate it within the standards of practice. Within reason, of course. Like, they don't just, like, you know, let people become dolphins, like in South Park, okay? South Park was making a joke. They make a joke about everything. They take it to the extreme. Just like in the other transgender episode, which I feel like was actually like they made a really good point, because that's what people think trans people do. They brought it to the extreme, and you see how ridiculous it is. But the sad part is that transphobes use that as like a one-to-one factual basis on their arguments. But it's that they're stupid, okay? No amount of arguing is going to help these people. They're just fucking stupid. Like, they can't even make a coherent argument. They can't see reason. Okay, so you can't, like, obviously. But what I like about, like, the South Park episode, though, the way I see it, is when they had, like, the guy who just said he was trans so he could compete in the Olympics or in the sports. He ended up just being, a misogynist who hates women, who was just trying to get back at his ex-girlfriend. Like, that was the joke. But, like, that doesn't happen. People don't just say they're trans and they get to compete in women's sports. That's not how it works. It's not just we're just going to hold everyone's hands. That's not how it works. It's never how sports has worked. It's always been competitive. It's always been about, like, making sure that nobody has an unfair advantage. Okay? Like, some people have natural body advantages, but that's not just about trans people and cis people. Like, there's so many different things. Like, Michael Phelps what does Michael Phelps have then? Michael Phelps advantage. Phelps' body produces less lactic acid than the average person, so he has a much faster recovery time. In the Olympics, being able to bounce back quickly and compete again and are distinct advantages for any athlete. So yeah, he is a perfect swimmer, but should we deny him the ability to compete? Just because he can't help. Long arms, more see, it's like there's so many different factors. Okay, so even among cisgender people, obviously, if he just suddenly started competing against women, he would dominate. But, like, that the key word is suddenly. Okay, like he would still, even among men, even among cisgender men, he's already an advantage. So if he was a cisgender female, if you just switched, like, magically switched his body to what he would be, but, like, if he had gone through, if he was assigned female or whatever, like, he would still have an advantage over women. So it's like the whole thing about, like, oh, trans women, if they win a competition, it must be because they're trans. Honestly, I think that's pretty sexist. Because you assume that the only reason someone won is just because of, like, they had a different puberty, but you're not recognizing their talent. You're not recognizing the training that the person went through. Like that's pretty sexist. And if you switch that trans person with a cis person and made the same arguments, it would be pretty fucking sexist. Because it's like, yeah, everybody has different bodies, and some people have more advantages than others. And also, it's not even been proven that being trans, like, going through male puberty. So it's, like, specifically trans women who have gone through male puberty, which is like a significant amount of us from a certain generation. Because most kids now, thankfully, have access to puberty blockers, which are safe and reversible, contrary to what people will continually die on a hill saying, regardless of how much research says otherwise. They just go off information of what they feel, which is ironic because Ben Shapiro constantly says facts don't care about your feelings.
Why trans people shouldn't do that, and they actually shouldn't do this either. Like, we started off with a sport competition argument, and we've moved on to the bathrooms. And in every step of the way, it all just comes down to, I just don't want trans people to exist in society.
Yeah, that's really where it all comes down to. Honestly, they wouldn't be fighting this hard unless there's, like, a very specific motive. Because the only people fighting this hard, nobody else cares. They, women athletes have said, like, we have trans people on, we're competing against trans women, and they don't care. They're like, and that's great. Like, but they say, like, don't pretend like you care about women's sports, because you suddenly care about women's sports when it comes to discriminating against women. By saying, oh, you're trans, oh, you're not as much of a woman as these other women. That's discriminating against women. That's being hateful towards women, which means you're literally being misogynistic It's just because somebody has a different kind of body. You know, cis people have different kinds of bodies too. Everybody has a different kind of body. And to discriminate against somebody because of that, there's categories, there's weight classes, there's all sorts of different things in sports. And so it's obviously not about sports. And because they bring it to bathroom, they bring it to, you know, whether or not you can, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, it's clearly just like, hey, like, you would not be, like, most people do not care. They're just like, hey, why don't you just let people live their life? Most people are like that. But there's like a minority of people who are extremely fucking loud, who continually just like every chance they get, they double down on transphobic, misogynistic policy, like ideas and policies.
You can just like go away.
Nope,
and
you can totally exist. You can play with Barbies. You can whatever. You're not a woman.
Jesus fucking Christ, dude.
See, but that's what I'm saying. But that's where it comes from. Like, it just still comes down to
if
trans women are not women.
That's great. You're a trans woman. You're not a woman.
Jesus fucking, it's the same shit that Blair White says. Which, like, yeah, I'm a woman who happens to be trans, and sadly I have to like constantly be reminded that I'm trans. I can't just exist and say I'm a woman, because at every step in the way, like you have to say, oh well, you know, there's always this internalized like transphobia of like, oh well, you know, there's this dysphoria constantly because you're like, oh well, you know, I wasn't assigned female at birth, so I'm not the same as other women. And it's like, come on, like that's a fucking vicious cycle of abuse. And we're trying to do it internally already. We're battling with it internally already. Okay? We don't need all these transphobes doing it for us. We're already doing it to ourselves. Like, come on.
That's why you have a trans in front of your name, because you're not a woman.
No, we have trans in front of our name because it's an adjective, because in some contexts it is relevant. Like if you're going to be getting like medical treatment that is very specific to whether or not you were assigned, you know, which is very rare circumstances. Most medical situations are pretty much just based on your current body chemistry. So like it doesn't matter whether you were assigned male or female, but there's certain things that maybe it's like, you know, like if it's like reproductive care, you know, like something like, oh well, do you have a womb, you know, do you have the, you know, this part of your body, like it's very rare. I don't think it's as important as people make it out to be. I think we should probably trust doctors to you know, trust, you know, that they have a complete industry of research, you know, looking in to find the best standards of care to help treat the patient, instead of just you know, coming up with random shit that off the top of your head just because it sounds like common sense, you know. Some things are common sense, some things aren't. Some things are very nuanced and are counterintuitive. For example, I've never experienced, but I've heard that if you're scuba diving, like undersea, especially like deep sea diving, there's like a thing that happens where you like start panicking, and you feel like you can't breathe, and it's because you're like breathing too fast or whatever. And there's like pressure as well. But like your instinct is to take out your, the instinct is to take off your head. Oh, hi, Sea Hats. There's your first common sense, because you're used to not being underwater. You're used to, like, if you can't breathe, you want to take off the helmet. But if you do that, you will literally die if you're deep sea diving. Like you will literally die if you take out your oxygen. Like you will not live. So it's like that. But the first instinct for most people is to try to take off their helmet or take off their oxygen or whatever. I mean, you can ask, but you know, you don't need to ask to ask. Just ask it and use common sense.
I mean, they're still women. Trans women are still women.
Trans woman.
Like, what the fuck is this dude's problem, dude?
You wouldn't be called a trans woman. You'd be called a woman.
I mean, but they are. Trans
then
women are called.
Trans woman. Then what?
Do you need a roommate? No. not someone from Twitch chat. I need to move out. I don't need additional roommates. What the fuck? I live with my dad. I don't want to, and it's already tight quarters. I don't need a second person here, a third person here. Like, come on. And I'm definitely not gonna live with some random stranger on the internet I've never met before. Okay, like, come on. There's people in my real life.
What's a woman?
I mean, contrary to popular belief, most people exist outside of their stream. Even Destiny, people like Hassan who like exist there like basically all day, they have their own life outside of. They have their own lives outside of outside of their streams. Believe it or not, that's roommate. Yeah, well, some people say housemate because roommate is like literally somebody who lives in your room. I guess that's just splitting hairs, though. That's like, you know, getting very like esoteric, or oh, what's the word? I don't know.
What is a
the
woman?
Distinction between
we still
trans
have not
woman
gone to
and
the definition, so maybe we should hear from them what they think.
Okay.
We still
trans
have not
woman
gone to
and
the definition of woman. Then what's a woman? What is a
Well, I mean, what is a woman? I mean, that's a good question. But, you know, if somebody says they're... Okay, so I think the definition of woman is if you're a woman who... Like, if you say you're a woman, like, you're a woman. Like, that's what makes a woman, is somebody who defines themselves as a woman. It's literally defined by the WHO definition of gender. I've already pulled this up several times. The characteristics associated as a social construct, gender varies from society to society and can change over time. Where's the part? Interacts but is different from sex, which refers to the different biological and physiological characteristics. Definition of woman. Adult female human being. Definition of female. There is sex or gender. There we go. Either of the two sexes, male and female, especially when considered in reference to social and cultural differences rather than biological ones. Term is also used more broadly. See, it's like, yeah, you can use the biological definition of female, but like, you know, it's like how we use intersex versus intersex definition instead of hermaphrodite, because hermaphrodite is a very specific medical, biological term. Genital change is a variety of situations where a person is born with reproductive or sexual anatomy that doesn't fit the box of female or male. Do surgery on intersex babies and children to make their bodies fit. But yeah, sometimes, you know, this is invasive, and a lot of intersex people fight for this because they have no say over it. In fact, you know, the one person, there's this person, I forgot his name already, so like freaking wrong or whatever. Forcefully, did surgery on a child, and like as experiment, like had their parents raise them as the gender that they weren't, you know, like made them live as a girl. When like eventually he said, "I'm not a girl, I'm a boy," and then like eventually had the corrective surgery or whatever. I don't know. But that's actually even more of a proof that you can't, your biology does not determine your gender. You could literally force somebody to try to live their life as a girl or a boy, and eventually they're going to figure it out that they're not, that it doesn't line up. So it's kind of funny when people bring up that, I forgot his name already, but like, bring up like that example of like one very like dubious person who did like very controversial treatment of somebody, like one person doing a controversial and wrong treatment on somebody, and then using that as a way to delegitimize trans people. Definition of hermaphrodite. Okay. Because that is literally a biological term, and it means you have both organs, and that you can create, these are not good. These, see, it's like you can't just go with one definition because there's different, because this is no longer used for people. It's only used for like biology when you create both in nature, like when we're talking about like worms or like, you know, worms or hermaphrodites, okay? Because they create both eggs and sperm or whatever. They're like they're what is a human worm? Oh, it's intestinal worms. Live in marine or freshwater environments, underground by burrowing. Yeah, they don't live on land.
The distinction between
We still
trans
have not
women
gotten to
and
the definition, so maybe we should hear from them what they think.
Okay, well, we'll watch. But
Not
again,
considering-
like after that entire conversation, you're still going back to like trans women are
Because you
not
took it
women.
to
I just don't. This whole like trans women are women. Like,
the reason people say that, okay, no, I know what Destiny has a point about this. He always talks about this. He said this many times. He says he thinks it's extremely reductive and useless, but the reason people say it is not because they need a definition. The reason people say it is because there is so much discrimination against trans women for calling ourselves women. When a lot of us, I mean, there are non-binary people, okay? But just like reproductive rights, it's obviously more correct to say people with people who can get pregnant. But like the vast majority of people who are affected by anti-abortion laws are cisgender women, okay? And I understand that as a trans woman, I understand that, and I think it's unreasonable for people to get and choose and pick and split hairs over terminology. But you know, obviously, it is more precise to say reproductive rights. Like, you don't have to say like whether they have a vagina or whether, or, you know, I mean, whether they have a like able to get pregnant or whether they even have a womb, or whether they're men or women, because some men can get pregnant. We know this, okay? The reason people double down on saying trans women are women are specifically because the vast majority of people who are affected by people being transphobic and not calling trans women women are affecting people who define themselves as women, like me. And so, you know, just like a cisgender woman defines herself as a woman, just like, you know, that's what gender is. You define yourself. So if you align with what you were assigned at birth, that's called cisgender. Everybody has a gender identity. Like, it's not about, not just trans people, okay? We just have a very different experience with it. But it's still it's same thing, you know, it's same thing, different day, you know? It's just like we have the same thing that cisgender people have. The fact that Destiny has a beard, you know, and that guy has a beard. Destiny considers himself non-binary. He doesn't really. I mean, he personally has said, which, you know, I can't speak for him because it might change on a regular basis. I can't define his identity. Only he can. Just like Hassan has a beard. This guy has a beard. There's a very specific like association with masculinity. And so, and also, like, you know, some people, you know, transphobia affects cisgender people too. And it has been for a very long time, because the fact that, like, if you don't wear a beard, people can, like, you know, say, oh wow, you look like a baby face, like, oh, you're so like you're feminine or whatever. You know, only real men have beards, like that kind of stuff. Okay, so if you want to understand transphobia, just look at cisgender people and what they do to themselves. Because there's a reason why you're wearing a beard. You know, there's a reason why you're wearing the kind of clothes that you wear, or the way you walk, or the way you talk, the things that you do. There's a reason, and it's based on gender, which is it's not only based on gender, it's an overarching identity.
you can get there, but you have
which nobody can define but the individual, and how we treat people should be with dignity and respect. And saying, okay, well, I don't understand, but we're not going to get in the way. And as long as you're not hurting others. But then people say, oh, well, you're hurting others if you're using the women's restroom when you have a penis. It's like, okay, like, what the fuck? Like, what about, and you never hear about men in the bathroom with vaginas, who are peeing through, you know, like, and also this applies to cisgender men as well. You know, the fact that, like, if anybody hears that a man pees sitting down, you know, even if they have a penis, like, suddenly that makes them less of a man. Like, what the fuck? Like, just let people fucking pee. Like, why does it matter how you pee or poop? I mean, you shouldn't pee. You shouldn't poop standing up. I mean, that's probably gonna make a big mess.
Have to build this out philosophically, and it takes a little bit because just on its face, it obviously sounds, well, if trans women are women, then why are they called trans women? Like, it's a.
It's because the reason why we distinguish is because in some contexts it does matter, but it doesn't matter in the way people think it does. It only matters in very specific contexts and usually not in a very big deal. Like, it's just like, oh, like, okay, we need to know this for your medical history. Like what gender you were assigned, and only in very specific cases. Most of the time you don't need to know that information.
It's hard to get there.
And also right now it's because we're battling so much for our rights that it's actually like we have to wear it like a badge of honor. Like even though I could probably go a lot of my life, especially after I finish all my surgeries, but even now I have a lot of passing privilege. I am not misgendered in my regular life most of the time. Every now and then somebody might misgender me because of my voice. But most of the time people it's not an issue. I am a very progressive area, but like, at the same time, I feel like more progressive just means it's more like, normal. That people just pay attention to their own lives and they stay in their own lane instead of going around and like policing everybody around them. Like, come on. But the biggest reason right now is because of the fact that there's so many people who take Christian Walker's stance. Is we have to double down and strongly identify that people like fly trans flags and stuff like that in their room and stuff like that. I don't particularly feel like I need to strongly identify as being trans, but the world kind of forces me to, because I have to say like, okay, well, I'm a trans person and I'm gonna like, try to live a good life, lead a good life. And in spite of all the people who hate me, and like it's kind of a huge amount of like personal pride that I'm a woman who happens to be trans.
You got to do some work to get there.
Yeah, we have to do some work. We have to get there. Right now we're not there, so we have to double down on identifying on it, because we're like, hey, like this means something different to me because I'm trans. And not because I'm trans, but because society has made it that way. What's poppin', gamer? Hey, Pip.
They can't exist in society or whatever. You're welcome to exist in society.
Like,
No, it's obviously we can exist in society, but do we have to exist in society with like constant harassment and people questioning whether or not we can use the bathroom?
I think that, this person, like, here, I use this example as well, but like there you go. Like
womanhood isn't based on what you
would you consider this but like would you consider this person a man? Would you say that's a man when you like, let's say you're at a bar, okay?
Looks like a woman.
This person,
I'm sure we'd have so.
How, dude? I don't understand how Hassan has spent any time.
Hassan doesn't really research. He just kind of goes off the cuff. That's his style, and he has every right to. So Destiny's the opposite. Him and Vosh heavily research, insane amount of research, and that's useful too. But I think he could try to be more like Hassan, and Hassan could be a little bit more like him. I feel like there'd be a little bit more. We should try to meet people halfway. Just like obviously talking to this person, Christian Walker, he's trying to meet him halfway. And if we just avoid people and not talk to people, we're gonna stay where we're at. But the thing is, you notice that right now he's stumbling.
This person, I'm sure we'd have so.
How, dude?
Because he waits until he's challenged. Have you noticed that a lot of transphobes will do this? If you provide information that goes against what they're saying, they'll do a whole bunch of mental gymnastics to try to justify what they're saying. It's kind of proof that the position they're holding is not very strong. Does not hold water. Because if it did, they wouldn't have to constantly readjust their opinions to justify it. Hey, trans people, believe it or not, don't want to constantly be defending ourselves about our gender. Like, we just want to live our lives, go to the grocery store, eat food, poop, and maybe play sports just like anyone else. And obviously there's guidelines within sports to prevent people from having unfair advantage, and that's already in place. And it's been it's never been a problem until somebody makes it a problem. And also, if something does happen, if somebody does win like first place in a competition, they're under heavy scrutiny because they're trans. Where if that person was cisgender, there would not be. But like if that was if there was a cisgender person winning a competition, it's like, oh wow, she trained so hard, she earned it. If a trans person wins a competition, she worked just as hard, she earned it just as much. But because she's trans, it's like, oh, well, it's because she has bigger bones or whatever. It's like, okay, well, you know, HRT really does change your bone density. And like I said, there's so many factors more than just bone density. And, you know, there's so many different factors even among cisgender people. So it's just the facts don't line up. And so you tell them facts, they readjust their position to match their opinion. They have they have a rigid opinion. This is what conservatives do, like transphobes and racists and, you know, homophobes and everything. All these people, like anti-abortion, all this kind of stuff, is they have a rigid opinion, which you can't have. It's impossible to have a rigid opinion. Everything will influence in some way. Even if your opinion kind of stays the same, you're going to adjust with new information because that's how reality works. And it really is how it works. And you can hear his brain working it out. But his words go against what I believe his brain is doing. His brain knows that trans people are women. Like, even if he doesn't see it yet, I'm pretty sure, like, if you, like, they know, like, people know but like, they work with mental gymnastics to change that, to go back to their original opinion. It's working backwards. It should be the other way around. You have an opinion, and new information makes you adjust that opinion based on that information. Doesn't mean you're factually and objectively correct. It just means if you have an opinion, you're going to take in more information, that information is going to adjust how you see things. And so it's like, you notice that a lot of conservatives, they'll have the same exact talking points because they're unwilling to deviate from it. They're unwilling to like say like, oh, well, you know, that changes things. You know, that changes how I should think about it. Maybe I should think about it a little bit more. Instead of thinking about it a little bit more, they try to find information to try to like, oh, well, you know, my original belief is the one true belief, you know, the OTB.
Looks like a woman.
This person,
I'm sure we'd have so.
How, dude? I don't understand how Sanas has spent any time refining his argument. Well, it's because he doesn't argue with anybody. Oh my God! Just don't argue.
I mean, Destiny. I mean, it's like the pot calling the kettle black. You've pretty much kept the same stances on a lot of things too. So maybe cut the man some slack. Okay, like.
With people, it's that easy. Like, you have your job of like watching TV and whatever, and like just do that. Why would you pretend to try to argue with somebody, especially like?
I don't know. I mean, that is a point, but then again, like, who gets to decide if somebody is ready to argue or not? Like, that's pretty arbitrary. And people could say that about Destiny as well. If you're going to hold somebody up to a standard of like, oh, you have to be at this baseline before you can have an opinion. Like, okay, well, how are you going to make you need to have that little bit of confidence in yourself, even if you're objectively wrong. Just like, you know, that's why we have to give these conservatives a chance. These anti-trans people and all these racist people and all that kind of stuff. That's why we have to give them a chance to pick themselves up by their bootstraps, okay? Like, they're not ready, but they do it anyway. And so our job is not to police, just like we shouldn't police who goes into the fucking bathroom. We can't. You have to have somebody standing outside checking genitals of that's extremely invasive. Checking everybody's genitals before they go into the bathroom. Like, that's literally that person's job, is all day they just police whether or not somebody has a penis or a vagina. You know, whether they can, like, which has absolutely no bearing on what they do in a bathroom. Whether, you know, even some people with penises sit down to pee. I sit down to pee, and I still have a penis. You know, like why are you policing who gets to have an opinion? Like obviously, like I mean, the fact that you know, obviously Hassan said it. If he didn't say it, you wouldn't be replying to it. Which means if he didn't say it, he wouldn't have a chance to learn from other people's outside information. Like the fact that you're calling attention to it, the fact that you're criticizing it, means that it was good that he had an opinion. It's good that he said it, and the same goes for the other guy, Christian. Because if we just shut everybody down and not let him say what is on his mind, then how is he going to get a chance to grow? Now, the caveat, because I know that a lot of people will say like, oh, well then how come we're canceling everybody? Is because the people that share this, there's kind of been like a unity among conservatives, especially like among anti-trans conservatives. Of like saying the exact same talking points for well over a decade now, when there's been ample opportunity to amputate that idea. There's been ample opportunities to learn from reality instead of doubling down on an opinion, not taking in any outside information. That's the difference. Is Hassan is a pretty reasonable man. He would, you know, I'm pretty sure he would be willing to change if he was presented with new information, and he does. He constantly does. But he still has to, you still have to have that cabbage brain take, you know, of where you say what's on your mind so that people can call it out. So it's important, because if you just keep it to yourself, you're never going to learn. You're never going to change. You're never going to grow.
Especially a TikToker. Isn't this guy a TikToker? Like, don't these guys cut their teeth on like screaming at each other through comment sections and like debating back and forth? Or at least like the small TikTok political communities I've been in, have seemed to do that. Maybe he doesn't do that on his TikTok. Maybe he's not that kind of person, but.
Okay, hold on. But like, listen. You know where I'm going with this. You've had this conversation before with other people. You see this person at a bar, okay? They have.
This is like the worst argument ever too. Like, what if you see somebody and they're.
Well, it's because, I mean, okay, I kind of think what he knows going to say, but there are gender norms that we have that like fit like over 99% of the population. So the whole thing where people are like, oh, we're going to call our children they, them, you know, the babies. Well, that's actually just going to create a lot of awkwardness for most kids. And it's, you know, if anything, like, I don't think it's going to confuse them, because, you know, in the end of the day, people know who they are, and they're eventually going to like align with some kind of bimodal definition of where their gender is. And honestly, there are stereotypical, like, you know, kind of common traits. That's why we have gender, bimodal gender norms anyway. Why we have like a male side and a female side is because there are certain characteristics, you know, that, you know, as a trans person, that's why I'm fighting so hard to have more feminine characteristics. So it's like, it actually is a good argument. Destiny is splitting hairs here. You know, because obviously there's a small percentage of people who don't, like, you know, this person could be a man, you know, identify as a man. Okay, you could say that, but you can't, you know, it's generally a good idea to guess based on appearance until proven otherwise. You know, like if you see somebody who's like walking around looking like a woman, sounding like a woman, acting like a woman, what we know as a woman, and yeah, society is kind of blurring the line a bit, and you know, and it has been for a very long time. A lot of you know, the women's rights movement and, you know, women's civil rights movement is that like being a woman doesn't mean just like giving birth and being a homemaker. Okay, like you can have a career that a man can have. You don't have to wear specific types of clothes. You can have short hair and still be a woman. Like, yeah, we all know about this, I hope. But like the point Hassan is making is trying to say like, oh, there are like kind of ballpark things that we all see. Nobody in their right mind would come into a bar and say like, oh, that's a man. Like that would most likely result that's like trying to shoot for a bullseye from like 100 miles away instead of just trying to hit the board from 100 miles away. Like you're trying to get a bullseye, but you're probably gonna miss. I mean, no, you're trying to get like at the very edge instead of trying to hit towards the center. Like there's a very specific spot. Like I want to hit the triple 20 at this specific like XY point. Like, okay, you're probably going to miss that. Or you could say, oh, I'm going to try to hit the dartboard. Like, with gender, you basically just throw a dart at the dartboard, trying to get it on the board. You're not trying to hit a bullseye or a triple 20 all the time. Like, obviously, if you're in a situation where you're in like an LGBTQ like specific community or something, then it's a little bit different, because it's like, okay, well, obviously if you're in a place where there's going to be a large proportion of trans people or non-binary people in general, then you probably shouldn't just throw darts. Like, you should probably try to like be a little bit more careful and like ask people about pronouns and stuff. But in most everyday society, that is not the case. We are a minority. In the LGBTQ space, we're not a minority. We're a part of the community. We're a part of the majority within those specific circles. But context matters. In most everyday situations, gender almost plays like zero role, except for our own perceived notions of what gender means. I mean, if you're walking down the street, you see a random person, and you're like, oh, that looks like a man. Do you need to know if they have a penis or not? Or, also, some women have penises, deal with it. It does not make you less of a woman. Like, come on. But like, honestly, people are so attached to like, it's kind of weird how attached people are to genitals. They're like, oh, and also including trans people. And I'm not going to blame other trans people, because I had this issue for the longest time. My gender is not determined by my genitals. However, I have genital dysphoria. And my understanding of my dysphoria has changed over time, where I'm not absolutely disgusted and ashamed of my penis anymore, but I am pursuing and very, 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 very close towards having it changed to what I need it to be. And it's a multitude of reasons. Gender dysphoria is not a monolith, and it doesn't mean that you absolutely hate your genitals, okay? Like, some people do. And that's valid too, and they should have the option to change it. There should not be like gatekeeping on whether or not you're dysphoric enough. Like, if you need it, it's really fucking hard to get, and so it's like you earned it regardless. If you think you're trans, you're trans. That's literally like, it means that you're changing something, even if it's social, even if it's internal. Some people are trans and never experience that transness outside of themselves, and that's perfectly valid.
Obviously, a trans person is like, you kind of look like a guy. Well, I'm gonna call them a man, or like, I like, this isn't even. It's not the best. This isn't the best argument for saying trans women are.
Like, I can't even determine if that person is trans or not. Like, honestly, like, what if I was wrong? What if that person's cisgender? Like, how? Like, what do I know? Like, how would I know? Like, unless I knew the person, unless the person specifically stated that she's trans. Like, I'm gonna assume she, her pronouns, but like anything else beyond that is gonna be just pure guessing. And it's already guessing, but it's a good guess. She seems to be very aligned with that. She might not, she or they might be non-binary, but I'm not going to constantly split hairs and constantly trip over myself just because I want to be politically correct. And that's one of the things that I wish the LGBTQ plus community would fucking get over, because not everybody is going to be constantly politically correct. We have gender norms that like kind of have like a bimodal system of, okay, she, her, or he, him, and some people are they, them, and it's kind of frustrating. But I feel like a lot of non-binary people are starting to like kind of like, saying like, okay, well, we're not, like, being trans in general, we are a minority. Okay, we need to understand that there is a bigger picture. That being said, there's a lot of things that people can do to not be so offensive and not so harmful to trans people. Just because we're a minority doesn't mean we have to get walked on, like trampled on, buried alive, 20 miles deep in a container of water with Captain Crunch in the roof of our mouth.
Are women. This is a decent argument towards getting at kind of a deconstruction of how we view gender and sex as inseparable. It gets there, but it's a different argument. Jesus, this is, oh God.
A yellow jacket on, okay? You need to point them out to your friend. Do you say that man with the yellow jacket?
But I call trans people, I call them she, her. I don't go into the neo pronouns, whatever, but I'll either call them their name, their chosen name, or...
Okay, I doubt anybody actually in their everyday life goes around and says neopronouns. I think the reason people do that is because they're talking about their overall identity on places like TikTok and stuff. Maybe there are people who use, like, absolutely, in my opinion, like, I think it's unreasonable to expect people to use neopronouns, you know, unless you're very adamant about it. And even then, I mean, I'm not, by very adamant, I mean, like, say, hey, I use fey femme or whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever, I'll use it. But, like, I'm not going to assume that. Like, if I just see somebody, not even in a fursuit, I have no idea that person's fursona or whether they have a... whether they have neopronouns or not, that seems like you're trying to hit a dartboard from 100 miles away, and you're trying to hit a very specific XY spot. Like that's the stupidest thing to do. Like, you want to hit the most likely to land spot first, and then adjust when you get a new information. Okay, so I think it's ridiculous that I don't think there's anybody out there who's insisting that be the default. Like, I'm not going to assume somebody is Zer when I don't even know who they are. I'm going to assume either he, him, or she, or her. And if I'm not sure, I'll use they, them. Like, because some people really are very androgynous. And I'm like, oh, like, I'm not sure if that person's a man or a woman or non-binary. Like, I'm just like, some people you just can't tell. Like, you just see them and they don't look particularly masculine. They don't look particularly feminine. And I'm sure there's a lot of non-binary dysphoria that other people see that person. I'm like, oh, why can't I be that neutral person? I'm sure there's people, like, there are gender neutral things. Like, you see a robot, you know, like a robot, like, you know, how are you going to gender a robot? You know, like, it has no form, really. Like, or an artificial intelligence, like, how are you going to say he or she? Like, it has no physical form. Like, it's literally just an intelligence. It might take the form of something. Like, if there's a theoretical sentient artificial life form, it might end up building a body that's anatomically male or female, or some mix in between. That might exist. But I mean, in general, just start off with the most likely thing and then refine as you learn more information. Unless you're in like an LGBTQ space where it's specifically like we're not a minority anymore. Because within overall society, we're an extremely rare minority, comparatively. But like within LGBTQ spaces, we're like a majority sometimes. Like, there's a lot of trans people in the LGBTQ spaces. So, like, it depends on the context. If you're out in the general public and it's not known as like an LGBTQ plus space, then just freaking like go with the most likely thing.
I mean, I would call her a she. Like, I'm not at
okay,
that
so you
point,
get it.
so I would say that. But
so you get it.
I don't think you're a real woman, no.
So you don't think she's a real woman?
No,
this person
I don't.
is.
No, I don't.
Okay. And the reason for that is what? Because like the gender that they were assigned at birth?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I don't know what to tell you then. Like
Well, you haven't told him anything. Well, you gotta you have to understand that the positions that this TikToker this
TikToker? It's like a doctor, but a TikToker.
TikToker is giving is like what 99% of people on planet Earth is like, yeah, I can tell by looking, duh, obviously, right? If you want to argue for something different, you're gonna have to make a real effort towards actually building a different argument. You can't just be like, well, look, duh, Jesus.
This is not a metric that you would abide by for any other circumstance. You would just, when someone tells you, when I told you my name is Hassan, you didn't assume, no, he's probably lying to me. His name is Jonathan. I'm gonna fucking call him Jonathan. You were like, no, that's.
Don't use names. Oh my god, I just wasted like.
Why? I mean, it seems like a pretty reasonable assumption.
3 warps. Don't use names as a comparison for like gender related stuff, okay? A name.
It's kind of there though. But then again, like a name is an identifier. It's like a thing like, oh, well, you know, it's like you define a variable. You can change the variable. That's why it's called a variable. So it's a little different than gender, because gender is like a personal identity, and a name is something that you use to maneuver around the world. But I guess you could say gender is that. I don't know what he's trying to get at.
Name is by definition something that can be anything. That's how names are.
I mean, gender can be anything either, you know, as well. So gender is literally about definition of your personal identity. So
Define. A name can be anything. Well, not anything. Usually a combination of letters and whatever.
just make a sound and it has no form, you know. Okay, yeah, there's been some people who have made their name like the artist formerly known as Prince. Okay, and his name was like a symbol. Like, come on.
But generally anything. There's like a wide variety of things we can consider a name. It's not a good comparison for things like gender or sex.
Why?
It's something you can choose.
Okay, he said that, but he didn't say why. I think it's a pretty decent comparison. It's pretty similar.
I don't think you get to choose your gender.
Oh, that's the correct response to that.
Oh, that's
but I don't think it's.
I mean, you don't choose your gender. We know our gender, but we discover it. Like, I didn't know I was female. Like, I knew that I was a person and I defined myself as a male, and then I discovered who I am, and I'm like, oh, I'm female, I get it. And what I do, like, to change my body is to align with that.
Something you can choose. That's the difference. I don't think you get to choose your gender. So.
But like this, but you also understand that this person quite literally is a woman, and you would abide by that.
Quite literally, no.
Unless
they transitioned.
Why would he just repeat the same? Well, you know that you're wrong because you're wrong, because quite literally you were wrong. that's not an argument, dog. What are you doing?
It's just how his son talks, okay? He just, like, you know, you have your own idiosyncrasies. He kind of has his own processing information kind of way, too. He kind of just repeats things. Like, you know, some people have different ways of doing things. I'll often repeat things in 3 different ways. I actually have like a pretty... I'm autistic, and I have some very specific kind of things going on. One of the things I do is I'll say the same exact point, but in 3 different ways. Because I want to make sure that, like, people get what I'm saying. And, like, Destiny, like, I'm sorry, but, like, you have no room to talk. Like, you have your own bullshit. I'm sure if you, like, you know, like, we're so stuck inside of ourselves a lot of the time. We can't see ourselves objectively. So it's like, you know, like, get off, you know, obviously it doesn't mean that you can't criticize people, but, you know, it's like, you know, it also doesn't mean that you're responsible for, like, you know, knowing every single thing about you that other people would find cringe or whatever. I don't know.
Okay, but like, you understand that that's a woman. Like, you would point to them and say that's a woman.
I wouldn't, because of how they look, even though how you look does not determine whether you're a man or a woman.
Why?
I determine how I perceive you, but just because I perceive you that way doesn't mean you're literally that.
Yeah, he's like really freaking like overreaching. Like, he's really trying to fit in. It's like, in reality, we don't think this way. And that's what Hassan's trying to point out. That's obviously, like, Destiny's, like, you know, being hypercritical over how he's doing it. But what, you know, generally, like, what Hassan's trying to point out is that how people argue in, like, academia, like what they call academia, how people, like, argue against, like, why trans people should be considered the gender that they say they are, is based on a reality that we live. And the only time, and like, people have to make extreme, like, mental gymnastics, because they're in a situation where they're trying to argue something, and so they try to, like, retroactively, like, they try to double down they try to find some way to, like, fit their argument into, like, how something like this would never happen in reality. Nobody would, unless you're a freaking asshole who just really likes to be transphobic. like, or just an asshole in general. Like, who goes around and says like, you're not a real man, you're not a real woman? Like, you get your ass kicked in a bar. Like, you go around and there's some like buff guy and he's like sitting there, and then you go up to that guy and you find out that person has a vagina somehow. I don't know, like they have boobs, and then you're like, oh, you're not a real woman. Like, okay, like, you know, like you thought that the person was a guy, but then you turn around and they like have a shirt that says "I am a woman" and says, you know, like with the female like sign, and it says and like you like has like a tattoo of a vagina on her vagina, and like but somehow you know this because this person's just sitting there with her vagina stretched out, like all like legs stretched out, like vagina in your face, but you didn't see that from behind. It looks like, and you can see a beard somehow, but like in her beard is vagina, and it says like vaginas have beards too, and like for somehow you like you're like it changes, like you know that like you thought that person was a man, but then suddenly you find out that she's a woman, and you're like, oh well, you're not a real woman because real women are like blah 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 blah. And it's like, well, okay, well, like, what about women who don't fit that standard? Like women who are like slightly larger or slightly stronger physically, which does not make you any less of a woman, because women have muscles too. Women have bodies too, like, and they come in different shapes and sizes. Women have different hairstyles. Long hair is not the only way to wear your hair as a woman.
That's true. Yeah.
So
I think there's a breakdown in what we're talking about, because like you literally understand that we make determinations on like what we think people are by looking at them, and the context clues in this circumstance absolutely fit that.
I wonder if the conservative guy is going to hit on the obvious like argument. The obvious counter to it is, okay, well let's say that I see a trans woman and she looks like a guy to me. Is that a guy then? Because that's what I perceive her to be?
Because when people do that, they're doing it on purpose. Because like most people, like they're finding something to try to prove to everyone that their way is the correct way of seeing things. And so they're looking to misgender people. They're like out there. They like got binoculars that say trans goggles. And it determines whether or not somebody was assigned female or male at birth. And they're looking around for anything that would try to confirm to them that their belief is right.
Like, everyone would look at you like you're a crazy person if you were like, that man over there is wearing a fucking yellow jacket. You know what I mean? Everyone would look at you like, what the fuck are you talking about? There's no man there, right?
But I mean, you could also say this for people who don't appear. I think Hassan's just talking about like our immediate perception, and obviously what we do when we present it with new information is different. So obviously you're going to assume somebody is something based on like your first guess, and it may or may not be correct. I don't think anybody should be held at fault unless it's very obvious that person is specifically misgendering someone. Like, you know. Yeah, like, you know, somebody could like look very, very feminine and be a man and have boobs. That person might be a trans male, but hasn't transitioned with hormones or anything yet. Or maybe they are. I don't know. You can't know. Sometimes people don't get double mastectomies, but they still define themselves as male. Some people don't get phalloplasty, but they still define themselves as male. And testosterone. Some people take testosterone, but they don't get phalloplasty or anything. It's like 6 different surgeries, so much more complex than what I'm getting. Jeez. And then internalized dysphoria, trans misogyny or whatever, internalized dysphoria. I'm like, oh shit, that's more male privilege. Like, come on.
And
but
the reason
just like,
for that
okay,
is because
the Kardashians one time dressed themselves up as old people and went on a tour, and they seriously looked like old people. The makeup they were presenting as old people. They weren't 70 years old. They looked like...
Right, but if you're in public, what Hassan's trying to point out is it like your first glance at somebody, you would say, oh, that elderly person. You would point at them and say, oh, that's an old person. And you get closer and you find out, oh, it's somebody in makeup and stuff.
Old people. Anyone would have thought Chloe was a grandma. Chloe wasn't a grandma. She wasn't a 70-year-old woman, even though she looked just like one. So no, if I was a random person on the street.
But you know, like people don't generally like have extreme like age dysphoria. And like go to doctors and commit suicide if they're constantly misaged, whatever word that is, aged incorrectly. If they're constantly aged incorrectly, people don't like go to the therapist and say like, oh, I need to like look older, or I'm gonna. I mean, if they do, like usually it's like, okay, well, that's gonna damage, your. I don't know if somebody did want to look like an older person and it was harming them enough that they would like consider suicide because they don't look old enough. If they had like some condition where they looked young, even when they were like 60 or 70, but they're constantly, like they look like they're 12 years old or something. They had some rare condition where they look like they're 12 years old for their whole life, and like they can't even like have romantic or sexual relationships because everyone thinks that they're 12 years old. I think that if there was a way to like increase that person's height and to like make them look like they were at least over 18, so that they could have a healthy life, I feel like that person should not be denied that. So that's what happens with trans people, is we have very like reasonable standards of care that allow us to change our bodies to match our identity. And it's safe, generally safe. Obviously nothing's 100% safe. And there are risks, but everything has risks. If you even just like, if you eat a sandwich, you risk choking. Like doesn't mean you're just going to avoid sandwiches for the rest of your life. They would
have said, oh, look at that Jenny. She looks like she's 70. She's totally old. She's a elderly person.
I mean, there's hella.
That doesn't mean they are.
Okay, but there's like Andy Milanakis is a great example of this. Like there are people with genetic conditions, for example, that quite literally do not look like
that
the age that they
are.
are.
That feeds into my point. Just because you look that way doesn't mean you're actually that. So just because
Hassan, you're making you're accidentally arguing the other point.
Yeah, no, he's not. Hassan, I think he's like kind of just like. Hassan has this thing where he just says stuff and he doesn't really like think it through, and then he adjusts as he goes. It's kind of how he does it. Like he just has a different, more improvisational style than Destiny and Vosh. Okay, like you're getting really nitpicky on his style. Okay, it works for him really well, clearly. But no, the thing is. You came. No, the thing is, he's trying to make the point that your initial first glance opinion is going to be based on the information presented to you. And obviously, doesn't mean that that's going to be your last position, okay? And so a lot of the conservative, like anti-trans people will be saying is that like, oh, well, it's like I should be allowed to just like go around and just shit on everybody, regardless of whatever information is presented to me. Like,
what are you doing? Are you going to argue that, well, Andy Milonakis actually is an 18-year-old person? Like,
old.
Wait, how old is Andy? Oh, it was on MTV. I only know he's 45? I had no idea he was 45. Holy shit. Holy shit. I only knew him from Twitch. I didn't know he like came from like MTV and shit. He's on the Kroll Show? On Adventure Time? Holy shit. Yeah, I mean, like, some people just have different genetics and just, like, look younger.
make her old. Just because this person looks old doesn't make them old. Just because you look like a woman doesn't make you a woman.
The age and the circumstance is not a changeable factor about yourself.
Just
that
like
is
your
like
gender.
no. What I'm saying is we use context.
There's a difference between perceived age and actual age. Just like there's a difference between perceived gender and actual gender. So you can perceive someone as male, it doesn't necessarily mean they are. Because like this goes with trans people as well as cis people. Like my example, like of like you could see somebody, you know, somebody like there's this like stereotypical idea of what a lesbian looks like, but what people are really talking about are just people like more masculine women. You know, for any number of reasons, whether it's just genetic or because they personally try to masculinize themselves but still consider themselves women. Like having short hair, wearing like more like masculine clothes, doing more masculine things. That doesn't make you a man. It's literally like, you know, if you look like the stuff that you do is a personal thing that you do for yourself to make your life worth a little bit, like, you know, worth living, you know? Okay, I have a phone call in a couple minutes, so I'm actually going to end the stream because it's going to go for like an hour or whatever. I didn't know if I was going to get the call or not. Yeah, so interesting. Well, we're going to finish that later. I might be back later. We might not finish it later. I don't know. I kind of interested in seeing that because I saw like a few clips from that stream with Hassan and Christian Walker. But yeah, now I'm going to watch like the full video and it's with Destiny. So it's like, that's like a double whammy. Like not only do I get the Hassan video, I also get the Destiny video. Okay, guys, yeah, we're going to call it a day for now, but we might be back later. I may not. I might just, take care of myself today, you know, live my own life. I don't have to always be streaming. I like I like streaming in the morning. You know, it kind of gets my day started. I have my coffee. I just, you know, watch whatever, do whatever. I kind of like starting off the day with streaming because then the rest of the day, it's like I can do whatever I want. It's kind of like having a job. Even though I'm not getting paid much. Actually, I'm not getting paid at all for streaming. I get paid for other stuff. Well, I don't want to say at all because a viewer gave me like $100 on my birthday, which is I'm very thankful for, and also gave me this gaming mouse. So you know, thank you so much, Space Ducks, for all that. But honestly, I'm not my main income outside of like, you know, I'm trying to get SSI so I can get an actual livable income. But my main income from my online business is from like OnlyFans. Which I'm not really working on right now because I'm have like a state of deep depression and anxiety from real life stuff that's going on outside of career. So anyway, I have to forgive myself for that. I'm actually like doing really fucking great. It just doesn't seem like it. Anyway, bye.